In Tenchu Stealth Assassins, there are 5 ranks you can achieve at the end of a level. These ranks are given based on the game's scoring system, with a score of 400 or more points awarding the rank of Grand Master, granting the player an exclusive item reward that can be used in future missions alongside the other items that the game has to offer. But if you're relying on items to get through levels, can you really call yourself a Grand Master? Yes you can. Don't be a gatekeeper, it's rude. That said, I wanted to see if it was possible to get a Grandmaster rank in each level without the use of any items. In a normal playthrough, you typically use items like the shuriken to deal with enemies from afar, or caltrops to help escape pursuit. There are things like grenades and mines that deal heavy damage, and utility items like the smoke bomb that can disorient enemies, the poison rice ball that can be used to draw enemies away from their posts and paralyze them, and the healing potion, whose purpose is still a mystery to me to this very day. That isn't even mentioning the rewards you get for grandmastering each level. You got fire-breathing scrolls, disguises that make it so you can get close to enemies without them realizing you're a threat, and armor that heavily reduces the amount of damage you take. They're all incredibly useful. Above all of that, though, is the grappling hook, which makes traversing levels much easier. All of these very nifty, very useful tools you see on the screen here are very banned. There are a couple of occasions where I accidentally pick up a few of them, but like a distant father, we're just going to kind of ignore their existence. So how does one achieve the rank of Grandmaster in a level? That is an excellent question. If you were a student, you would be getting that class participation credit right now. As I said earlier, there are 5 ranks you can achieve: Thug, Novice, Ninja, Ninja Master, and Grandmaster. Each rank requires a certain point total to achieve. For Grandmaster rank, you need to achieve 400 or more points in a level. The good news for us is that upon entering a level, you start with 300 points baseline, which is reduced by 20 every time you're spotted within the level. But if you complete a level without being spotted, then you receive an additional 100 points. So the path to victory is pretty dead brain, right? Just don't get spotted, bozo. Easy game, easy life. Move on. Every level is crawling with enemies. In addition, some levels contain innocent NPCs wandering around, and while enemies can be murdered to make them stop being in the way, innocents, while also murderable, give you a 30-point penalty if you do so, making it much better to just avoid them if you can. On the opposite side of that spectrum, dogs aren't people, so you can get spotted by them as many times as you want. You can even kill them if you're a monster. Minus 200 points. Minus 200 billion points. In order to recoup the points you'll inevitably lose from being spotted, you have to kill enemies. Performing a stealth kill on an enemy awards you 20 points, while killing an enemy who has detected you awards 5. Stealth kills are classified simply as killing an enemy who does not currently detect you. There are special animations for these kills, but you can also just do a normal attack, and as long as the enemy hasn't spotted you, you'll still kill them instantly and get the 20 points. Hence the reason why we're rolling with Ayame during this run. Her animations are generally much faster than Rikimaru's, which could mean the difference between getting spotted after a kill or not. As a quick side note, boss encounters or encounters where you're forcibly spotted by an enemy do not count as being spotted, but they do award you the 5 points for killing them. As far as for the game's definition of what being spotted is, allow me to introduce you to the key meter. There are 4 stages to the key meter. The first is a question mark, which lets you know if somebody is nearby. The exclamation mark lets you know that someone can see you, but they're not sure if you're a threat or not. NPCs will cautiously approach you until you either get far enough away from them or break line of sight. The interrobang means that an NPC is on alert and is looking for you. And the double exclamation mark means you've been spotted. If they're an enemy, they'll try to fight you, or if they're an innocent, they'll just run away. Something also worth mentioning is that if an NPC is off screen, they functionally just don't exist. Doesn't matter if they walk away from you and disappear, or you run away from them, they're deloaded and won't do anything until they're reloaded. Sometimes they'll reset to a default position, more often than not, you'll just load them back in wherever they were. That pretty much covers the basics. There's more that we'll cover as we go, but for now, let's just get into it. Hold on, I gotta fix a couple things here. Yep. Okay, perfect. Following my initial test run of this concept on the first level, during which I got the Master Ninja rank and thought this wouldn't be so bad, everything immediately starts to go awry. This dog spots me, then this dude spots me, so I kill him, then another guy spots me, so I have to fight him, and it's all just horrible. While the game insists on telling me to use the grappling hook to get over this main wall here and to avoid the main gate, there really isn't another way for me to get in. So we go through the main gate, and there's a man with a spear wandering around who I immediately alert by not being patient and watching him patrol. Then another dog sees me, which alerts this guard inside this building here, sending me down this alleyway into the arms of another guard, and this attempt is just the worst. And yet, somehow, alright, I didn't even bother to finish the attempt after that one, and the one after that was quickly abandoned as well. Those were just due to me being impatient, and I think that's where most players of any stealth game will see their mistakes pop up. It also didn't help that there was another factor that took me a while to understand, and I think this clip illustrates it fairly well. You see how this guard turned around as I was running up behind him? It's not because of some weird sound mechanic or something like that, it's just a part of his patrolling pattern. In this game, there are 3 types of guard patterns. You have guards who spin around in place, either turning a little to the left or a little to the right every few seconds. With enough time, these guards will always end up turning to face a direction that's easy to take them out from. Next, you have guards who patrol in a fixed pattern. They'll wander from point A to point B, but every now and then they'll turn to face in your general direction during their patrolling pattern. This is usually at the same interval of time, but not at the same point in their patrolling pattern. That's what happened with this guard who saw me here. The last one is generally what dogs do, although there are a couple of enemies throughout the game who also do it. They patrol in a direction for a little bit, then turn most of the way around and continue in the opposite direction. But not always at the same angle or the same length, so they can end up getting closer to or farther away from their origin point over time. I pick up on these patterns eventually, but there are definitely some growing pains along the way. Generally speaking though, this attempt goes much better. While still getting used to how the AI works, things line up here where I'm able to take down 3 guards basically right on top of each other, but while I'm trying to get away from this archer here, I accidentally trigger the boss fight. I was trying to get as behind this wall here as possible without crossing into the room, but I do and interrupt a sleazebagging in process.
Come on!
Said sleazebag is our actual target for the mission, but he runs away and leaves an unnamed henchman to deal with us. He's basically just a glorified normal enemy with a little bit more health. He goes down pretty easily. At some point during that scuffle, the archer that chased us in here returns to his original position, so he gets a good murdering for good measure on the way out. And then it's just a matter of going over to wherever Echigoya decided to hide himself to finish him off and end the mission.
My money!
You won't need it where you're going.
Netting us the Grand Master rank and the Lightfoot Scroll. While we can't use it, it is a nice little trophy to display to show that we did the thing. There's a case to be made for the goal of the second level being easier than the first. All we have to do is deliver a message. No bosses, no forced encounters, just get in and get out with my bonus and call it a day. He was an innocent, wasn't he? Well, no sense crying over spilled innocence. Besides, the first attempt is just practice. Everyone knows that. We're just gonna... There we go. Good as new. There's one main thing in this level that makes it a little more difficult to deal with than the previous. See, normally the rooftops are kind of your get-out-of-jail-free card. Enemies usually don't go up there, nor do they... Oh. Oh no. Yeah, so, some enemies do this. Yeah, this just sort of fell apart from here. I don't want to talk about it. I don't know why I thought this angle of approach would work for this enemy, but she saw me, and let me tell you, she did not want to get murdered. And I guess I really haven't explained the combat yet, have I? Combat is simple, to say the least. You have standard combos you can perform by tapping away at the attack button repeatedly, as well as attacks you can perform with directional inputs, like holding left or right, or double tapping forward and attacking to do a dash attack. You also have a crouching slash as well as a downward plunge that you can perform while falling. Landing all of those attacks is another matter entirely. When engaging an enemy head-on, they have a tendency to block, and they usually have a fast enough recovery afterward that if you go all in on a combo, you'll get punished pretty hard for it. Frankly, hitting enemies sometimes feels like it's down to pure fucking luck. If you have to fight them head-on, the best thing you can do is to either engage them on a sloped surface where they typically get knocked into the air, or hit them from behind. When those aren't an option, attacking once and backing off is usually the solution. Don't worry, it's only at the ass end of the game where I learned that lesson. Suffice to say, combat is generally discouraged. Almost like it's a stealth game. Oh, I get it now. The second attempt at this level is arguably worse. In my haste, I aggroed 3 different enemies, although I don't know where this orange man fucked off to while I was fighting the other 2. I do somehow survive this encounter and make it to the end of the level to receive the ninja rank, which, is something. The third attempt went much better. I really thought I had this one in the bag, but I reached the end and was 15 points away from Grandmaster. No, it's fine, I'm not even mad, it's fine. I was definitely not even slightly tilted and gave up on the 4th and 5th attempts because I got spotted fucking immediately. 6th attempt was also a wash, got ninja rank, I don't want to talk about it. But finally, on the 7th attempt, I got my shit together just barely enough to have a decent attempt. I got myself spotted by this guard who jumped on the roof to pursue me after I broke line of sight, but thankfully he ran past me off the roof and then lost interest, so I was able to take him out. And then as I'm trying to figure out where another guard is, they just die. You see, enemies and water don't mix at all. You can go in the water just fine and survive. Well, just fine in terms of your health anyway. Going in it does alert any nearby guards, but enemies just sort of die if they go into deep water. It's very nice. After crossing this bridge and the way bridges were definitely meant to be used, I take out this last guard here, get to the end of the level, and have just enough points for Grandmaster. This level can suck my dick. Sorry, that's lewd. Let me try that again. This level can suck my entire dick. So up to this point, we've only had to deal with enemies, but you know what's worse than an enemy hitting you for a few points of damage? Pits that kill you outright. Let me tell you, there's no worse feeling than having a good run and then dashing into a pit. In order to clear some gaps, I use a dash jump to let you get a lot of horizontal distance, but sometimes I mistime the jump input and just dash, which usually ends up in pretty bad situations. Aside from the pits, there are also a ton of dogs at the start of this level, which, as we established earlier, don't actually count towards your spotted count, but I didn't know that for a fact until a little ways into the game. But yeah, many dogs here at the beginning, and many trees dotted around that make it hard to see all the enemies in the area. But this level is where I really start to get a feel for the controls and mechanics of the game again. Aside from the pits, there isn't really much that poses an issue. Is that a fucking bear? There's a reason the recording for this level is called Level 3, Fuck Bears. Our mission this time is to rescue a captive ninja. Depending on who you're playing as, it'll either be Rikimaru or Ayame. Right before you reach them, there's a boss, Goo, and we'll get to him in a minute. With him is a fuck-mothering bear. If you're not expecting this and just go into that room, congratulations, you get to fight both the bear and Goo at the same time. On top of having 100 HP, the bear, as one might suspect, hits like a bear. The best thing you can do is get close enough to alert the bear and break far enough away that you can kill it before engaging the boss. Sometimes that's easier said than done because the bear fucks off to Timbuktu for a while before deciding it should probably come back and deal with you. But one-on-one, the bear isn't that bad, I guess. Goo, on the other hand, gross. Go wash that goo off your hand before you continue watching my video. Goo hits like a bear if that bear was holding a spiked club and had a really obnoxious attack with almost no wind-up. With 130 HP and a wombo combo that'll ruin your day, Goo killed me a lot of times. He has 2 main combos. One of them, he slams the club on you up to 3 times, and if you fail to block the first one, then all 3 are coming down on your face. The second one is just mean. He does a little poke with very little wind-up, which means it catches me way more often than it doesn't. And sometimes he'll follow it up by swinging the club overhead for a ton of damage. By the time I finally took him down, I was an expert at this level, as you can see by this very shiny Grandmaster awarded at the end. Fuck bears. Where do I even start with this level? Oh, I know, how about the 2 boss fights you have to deal with? One at the very beginning of the level and the other at the very end. Our goal for Mission 4 is to cross the checkpoint. But Tazu here makes the mistake of talking to Ayame, who uses her high school level insults to pick a fight.
It's a beautiful night. You should be looking for a boyfriend, not playing with your dad's weapon.
And your butt is fat, and your forehead is actually a 5-head. Tazu isn't actually much worse than a standard enemy, really just having slightly above average HP for this point in the game. If Level 3's challenge was more about the boss fight, Level 4's is definitely more so about navigating the level itself. By this point in the game, as I may or may not have shown along the way, I started relying on a method of travel I like to call the gimped Sonic, because I am rolling around, but the speed of sound this is not. By crouching and double tapping in a direction, you perform a roll, and that roll usually covers just enough distance when no enemies are nearby that even if one spawns in and sees you, it'll be just the normal exclamation mark and you can quickly roll away again before they start to pursue you. So a lot of my gameplay during this level is me somersaulting, peeking ahead to see if there are any enemies, and then somersaulting again. The other theme of this level is learning. It's where I realized definitively that enemies will be alerted by bodies of allies. This sounds like it'd be a no-shit Sherlock situation, but you gotta understand, the PlayStation era was a different time. Wobbly textures, bad translation, terrible voice acting, AI that forgot the I portion of its naming, shit was the Wild West of gaming. The enemies noticing the bodies of comrades seems inconsistent at times. You'd think this guard here would have noticed the body on his first pass, but it's only when he passes again that he sees it. And I think the only reason the guard up above didn't see this kill was because when I killed him, his body flew far enough away for it to be out of detection range. In general, I feel a lot better about this level than I did in the previous few. Sure, I get spotted a couple of times, but by this point, I understand much more about the game than I did a few levels ago, right up until I get to this point here. I was absolutely certain this archer would not see me, and, well, not only does he see me, by the time I decide to just kill him and be done with it, I fail to realize there's another guard down here who I roll down directly on top of and also have to fight. I shake off my failures, stalk this guy through some bamboo, which as a side note is functionally a solid wall, but I didn't know that yet, and after killing him, someone either sees me or sees the body, I can't really tell which. And now, just look at this clusterfuck I have to deal with. There's one guard here who's taking a nap, which is pretty much a free kill if I can reach him. Then there's an archer who's rotating in this passage, and another archer who's walking into a wall. The one walking into the wall is who either spotted me or the body earlier, because obviously he isn't supposed to be doing that. He's trying to get back to his origin point, which is fine by me, he can try all he wants. The plan I devise is to wait for the rotating guard to be facing mostly down the passage into the void, at which point wall-walking man should hopefully be at a point in a cycle where he's still walking into the wall. I'll take him out, wait for the archer to have his back to me again, take him out, then take out Sleepy. So I wait. And I wait. A full minute of waiting later and it's my time to strike. First guard goes down. Second guard goes down. Why did the sleeping man wake up? Why is there a dog? Okay, new plan. Kill the fucking dog. Now we gotta wait for the other guard to de-aggro, but he follows the chain of bodies to the dog, so I run away to regain my vantage point and wait for the heat to die down. Once it does, I press forward and see who I thought was the sleeping man spinning in place, but no, it was a completely different person. And after killing him, Sleepy Man pops up from his position half buried in the hillside and gives me the ass whooping of a lifetime. So here I am, 33 HP in a dream, rolling forward to see a guard tower upon which a guard is immediately alerted. I back away, let him get unalerted, and this is where something really weird happens. It's the only time in the entire playthrough where something like this happens, thankfully. Remember how I said a guard is supposed to go back to their normal pattern when they stop being alert? This guy with the spear just doesn't. He's still on the lookout for me, as denoted by his spear still being in hand. But according to my key meter, he's not. And if a man can't trust his key meter, what can he trust? I wait for a while to see if he'll turn his back, but he won't. He keeps his back to the guard tower and eyes pointed in my general direction. Eventually I settle on seeing if I can go around the other direction to flank him, but who could have possibly predicted that there'd be a second guard tower with a second guard? This one isn't alert though, he's just walking around with his bow. So I deal with him, then go behind the other tower, and the moment I think I have an opening, I try to stealth kill the spear guy. It doesn't work. I just attack him and he takes normal damage. He gives me a good poking, then he goes down. And now it's time for the boss. So the next attempt, yeah? Look, I took you through the level once, I don't think I need to do it again. Kill Tazu, whole bunch of murdering happens, spear guy at the end wasn't a problem this time. Boss whose name is Senjuro? Since I have more HP going into this fight, I feel a little more confident and discover my ace in the hole when it comes to dealing with some of the bosses. Like I said when covering combat, doing a full-on combo leaves you wide open to be counterattacked, but doing a single slash or a dash attack gives you just enough time to block if the attack doesn't land. So you'll see a lot of me dash attacking bosses from here on out. It does decent damage, it gives me a chance to recover, and I only sometimes get really greedy and get punished for it.
Tazu, I could not avenge you, dear sister. I failed as a brother and as a warrior.
Brother and sister, huh? Your parents must not have done a very good job.
And your butthole stinks and your face is ugly. One more level down, another Grandmaster in the books. Oh good, innocents are back. Our goal this time is to execute a corrupt minister. Considering how weak and defenseless Echigoya was, I'm sure this one will be just about as submissive and killable as he was. To that end, first we'll need to find the minister's bodyguard to beat some information out of him, after which point, the bodyguard is killed by an arrow to the neck. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and maybe for good reason. Because if level 4 was where I thought I was starting to come into my own for this challenge, level 5 is a lesson in humility. The first attempt is actually really solid. I was proud of it. I was patient, got in a ton of stealth kills, didn't actually kill an innocent this time. Things were great. Things were wonderful. I was on top of the world, so what went wrong? Him. Him is what went wrong. See, while you can block melee attacks just fine, ranged attacks are another matter entirely. You can't block those. According to the game's manual, you can knock them down by pressing the attack button with the right timing, but of all my time spent playing this game, I have never once managed to deflect an arrow. And this asshole doesn't just shoot an arrow and call it a day. No, he can shoot up to 3 at a time, one right after the other, each dealing 10 damage apiece. On top of that, he does the unthinkable and melees you with a bow at close range. Crazy, I know. I very quickly went from thinking I had this level wrapped up in 20 minutes to being back at the start with nothing to show for it. No big deal, right? Just do the level again. It was simple enough the first... Huh? He wasn't patrolling here last time. The levels of this game aren't as straightforward as I've been making it seem. Not to say that they were straightforward to begin with, but in theory, you should be able to memorize the enemy's positions and patterns for a level and get through it without being seen every time. Except for one thing, level layouts. Each level has 3 layouts, A, B, and C. When you begin a level, the layout is chosen at random, and each layout alters NPC placement and behavior within the level. That's why this guard is patrolling here now instead of spinning around after the bridge like he was the first time around. I knew this system was a thing, but up until this point it hadn't really made that much of a difference. Except for in level 3, where for whatever reason it kept giving me the bear layout instead of the one with wolves in the final boss room. But apparently, once the game realized layout C for level 5 was the one that I struggled with the most, it just kept giving it to me until I finally figured out how to deal with it. Start by going left to kill this guard. Ignore this guard patrolling on the bridge and circle back around to take out this dog. Channel my inner bridge troll until it's time to jump up and kill this guard. Continue along this path to take out the archer. Try and fail to use this pillar to avoid this guard's line of sight. Go up to the roof and avoid him and wait for him to de-aggro. Drop down and kill him. Wait for this guard to turn around and cut him open one good. Get up on the roof, watch this patrol until he turns his back until it's the right time to deal with him. Take out another dog. Reenact the scene from Sleeping Beauty where a ninja sneaks in and kills Sleeping Beauty. Get back on the roof. Kill this dog. Startle the cat. Go back on the roof. Kill this guy. Avoid this innocent. Almost missed this archer entirely when going to take out the bodyguard. Take out the archer. Fight the bodyguard. After this, we go toward the boss wherein I accidentally trigger the fight while already engaged with another enemy. This can only go well for me.
Your arrows are like you, weak and twisted. I fear them. Not.
You tell him, Ayame. Not only was there the guy I was fighting before, there's another on the opposite side. So I decided to try and reset everyone by getting up on the roof, and this guy's got some good aim. So we get back to this point, actually take out the guards who are wandering around the outside of the archery range, then engage the boss again. Just kidding, I don't know why this boss gave me so much trouble. I think I was just psyching myself out with the arrows and playing far too defensively. When he got wedged in this doorway here, I wanted to try and draw him back out in case there was a guard over there I hadn't dealt with yet. So I jumped up on this ledge here where he proceeded to, murder me again. Each time he killed me, it was another 10 to 20 minute investment just to get back to this point. So to say I was anxious is an understatement. But eventually, after one more death, I finally take him down with 20 HP remaining for myself. I didn't even linger on the clear screen after this. I saw Grandmaster and was just ready to move on with my life. Oh boy, speaking of levels with bosses that make me want to die. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Our mission for this level is to infiltrate the base of the Manji cult and retrieve an artifact. And this level is where my memory of the game drops off a steep cliff. Despite playing this game growing up, I very rarely finished it, at least not legitimately. Most of my time was spent dicking around with the debug menu, and when I made actual attempts, I usually got frustrated with the third level and its bottomless pits and gave up. On the few times I did get past the third level, the fifth was usually my next big drop-off point. From there, I usually use cheat codes or the aforementioned debug menu to get through the rest of the game. My memories of this level are mostly from watching my dad and brother play it when I was younger, and I was always freaked out by these beef jerky looking motherfuckers here. But I think my lack of experience in this and the levels going forward is what helped me out in the end. Without knowing exactly what to be on the lookout for, I was a lot more cautious, and with half the game behind me, I was starting to feel a little more confident too. Getting through the level itself wasn't bad. The halls surrounding the perimeter give a very easy path to follow and a solid place to return to if things start to go awry. A lot of my time in this level was just spent going around this perimeter, getting easy points for stealth kills for when I'd inevitably fuck up later. I did get spotted here after taking out an archer. I used this lamp to get onto the roof of one of the buildings to watch this archer and then take him out. But then one of the beef jerky guys saw the body, which led me to panic running away, which caused another guard to load in and see the body, which then caused the guard to see me, and oh my god, everything's going wonky donkey. After retreating back to the rooftops, I see this guy wandering back and forth in this little tower. There aren't many kills I'm really proud of in this run, but this is one of them. I drop down to deal with whoever is in the ground floor of the tower, and forget one of the cardinal rules of this game. Doors are not solid objects. This leads to me being seen again, so I retreat and resume going around the perimeter again, popping out to watch this rotating guard until one of the jerky dudes thinks he sees something again, so I dive back into the halls, deal with him, then another jerky dude sees something. I'm not sure if he saw enough of me to be alerted when I jumped up to try and grab the edge of this wall. I decide to just leave him alone and go back to the rotating guard I was stalking earlier. After taking him down, I go into the building where my objective is. And I think you may be able to see what my problem is from the get-go here. In order to navigate this building, you're supposed to use the grappling hook to reach the higher levels where you can take out the guards and trigger the boss fight. But with that being banned, there's only one other way to get up there, and it's kind of annoying. The big statue in the middle is scalable, but in my attempt to begin climbing on it, not only do I scorch my little tootsies on the candles, I alert both of the guards on the upper platforms. I try to retreat, but one of these guards is obnoxiously persistent. Just when I think he's done pursuing me, he sees a body which re-alerts him, causing him to see me for a split second before I dive back into this alcove to break line of sight, causing him to begin searching for me, during which time he runs past me. I turn around to try and get my eyes back on him, but I guess he circled around and somehow ended up back behind me, where he thankfully lost aggro and began to walk back to his origin point, so I was able to take him out. By the time I get back to the statue, the other guard is also trying to get back to his origin point, so I'm able to go in and kill him. And now we reach the portion of the level called "This Statue's Collision is Bullshit and I Hate It." I'm going to save you the 10 or so minutes I spent trying to figure this out. The arms of this statue are climbable, and from those you can reach the upper ledges, which can then be used to jump onto the head, where there's a ledge you can grab and pull yourself up on. And reaching the top of the head is what triggers the boss fight. This boss is fine, actually. I don't know their name, and I'm not going to look it up because they're already dead. Despite hitting pretty hard, this boss falls to the tried and true dash attack until it dies method. Awesome, cool, we're done with the level. I'll take my Grandmaster ranking, thank you. I need to be clear here. When I said I had very little memories of this level, the next part legitimately caught me off guard.
I found that somewhat amusing. We meet again.
Onikage. You're next.
I don't think so. Let's go.
This marks the first of 3 times we get to fight Onikage, and he's just such an asshole. His attacks hit hard and fast, and despite not using a weapon, he's perfectly capable of blocking like any other enemy. And yes, every time you die to him, it's back to the beginning of the level. Eventually, he decides to just not kick my ass, and once he drops to 100 HP, he fucks off.
I underestimated you. Next time, you die.
The circus has come to town! Oh, wait. Pirates. The pirates have come to town! It might as well have been a circus because these clowns were easy to deal with. After the travesty that was level 6, level 7 just worked out tremendously in my favor. If not for my impatience to just reach the boss and finish out the level, I wouldn't have been spotted a single time. But alas, this guard over here did see me putting hands on his mans. I really don't have much to say about this level. Some of the enemies have guns, but they never got to shoot them. And this boss is a breeze compared to what we just dealt with. So let's just move on to the next one, because that one, I have some choice words for that one. The first one is an expletive, and the second one is a pronoun. Our goal this time around is to get to the peak of a mountain and grab a magical herb to cure Lord Goda's sick daughter, Princess Kiku. You may be looking at the beginning of this level and thinking it bears a strong resemblance to level 3, and you'd be kinda right. But you know what they say about assuming. It makes you look like an asshole. Because this one is nothing like level 3, except for the bottomless pits, and the dogs, and the outdoor environment. In all seriousness though, this level does have the best music track in the game. My first attempt at this level was a little rough to say the least. After getting spotted a couple times, I decided to take it as an omen that this is just not the run, and I die so I can restart. On my second attempt, I try to run around this tree and fall to my death. In hindsight, not my brightest idea. And on my third attempt, something possesses me to try and make a jump to this waterfall. I don't know why. Finally, on my fourth attempt, I make it more than 6 steps into the level. And let me tell you, this is where I really start missing my grappling hook. I felt I'd adapted to life without it pretty well, but this ledge with the dog overlooking it was pure torture. On it was a patrolling guard who was my first major hurdle. I had to get close enough to lure him in so he'd start following his path, but he'd wander so far that I had to continuously back away to keep him from seeing me. That space on my right side is a drop into nothingness that will kill me, so if I wasn't angled right, I'd just roll right off and die. I'm still not really sure how he didn't see me in the end, but then, as I'm continuing along the cliffside, another guard loads in, sees the body, sees me, so of course I panic and try to run away, only to run right off the cliff and die. Back at it again, I manage to take out the first guy in a spot where the archer doesn't see him this time, then run up and deal with the archer, after which the dog is alerted but thankfully doesn't come toward me, and when I load in the next archer, he's alerted by the other archer's body. Eventually he loses interest and looks away so I can deal with him. Then I spot a guy sleeping, so I do what anyone would do in this situation and murder him in cold blood. Then I go back and kill the shit out of that dog that's been a pain in my ass for a solid 10 minutes or so at this point. I don't even feel bad about it. As I continue to explore a little bit, trying to see the individual or individuals who appear to be close according to my key meter, I accidentally pick up a grenade hidden in the bushes. Then I realize I can just jump up and grab invisible ledges along the cliffside, so I can get up and see the 2 guards above me, a rotating guy with a spear and another archer. After a while, I kill the archer and then the dreaded interrobang appears on my key meter. In my head, I am thinking somehow the guard on the other side of the wall saw me, which isn't completely impossible because it's a PS1 game and those are janky as shit. So I run forward to get away from him, only to realize there's another guard in this cave over here. He interrobangs a couple times, so when he disappears into the cave again, I decide to try and get a better hiding spot. But at this point, I didn't know if the drop beside me was safe or not. So I try to run back to where I was previously, get spotted, and decide to just fight him. And he beats my ass so hard that it makes my father's belt jealous. So I decide to run away and nearly jump right off a fucking cliff, somehow manage to lose him for a millisecond by hanging beneath him. Then he drops down, interrobangs again, loses interest again, tries to return to his origin point, and I finally kill him. Then I check that hole I almost tried to hide in earlier, and yeah, it would have killed me, so at least I feel somewhat vindicated. I go back up to try and take out Spear Guy, see that his back is to me, and decide to just go for the kill. But if I had waited for just a little bit longer, I would have seen that he was turning in my general direction. He saw me before I could take him out, so I run back down and try to hide. And right when I think I'm about to get away with it, he drops down on top of me, sees me again, so I try to escape again. Cling to the ledge, get hit, get knocked up onto the ledge, manage to lose him, try to kill him after his back is turned, at which point he sees a body, gets alerted, and then turns around to see me again. So I say fuck it, and leave him there to live out the rest of his life rotating by a waterfall. And now, friends, foes, and fiends, we've reached the point where the challenge almost ended entirely. The recording for this level is a little over an hour long. But after leaving Rotating Men alone, we're actually really close to the end, only 30 minutes into it. It's just a little ways after this jump here. Sorry, after this jump here. Oh no. This jump is just barely too high for us to be able to grab onto the ledge and pull ourselves up. The intended thing you're supposed to do here, as you may be able to surmise, is use the grappling hook. For obvious reasons, we can't do that. I don't even have the button bound for it. This place became my prison for about 2 hours. 25-ish minutes of that was spent recording me trying to get up there, and the rest was spent trying to figure it out while not recording because my hard drive was crying about being low on storage or whatever. When I originally devised this challenge, I first checked online to see if I could find anyone else doing the same thing, because if I got hard stuck somewhere, it'd be good to have something to fall back on to make progress and just credit it later. But of the itemless runs I found, they all had one thing in common. They used the grappling hook. Of the forum threads I found asking about itemless runs, they mentioned using the grappling hook. So for this, I was completely in the dark, and I came to a point where I was almost desperate enough to say fuck it and use the grappling hook to see if at least the rest of the game was possible. My only spark of hope came from something that I mentioned earlier, grabbing onto invisible ledges. This area right here has quite a few of them, so I spent a long time jumping at this wall at various angles to find as many invisible ledges as I could, and there were two in this corner that really stuck out to me. They're positioned in such a way that after you pull yourself up onto the first one, you immediately cling onto the next one and you're able to pull yourself up onto that one. I knew this had to be the solution, but it wasn't quite high enough to be able to jump up and grab the ledge that I needed. When you pull yourself up onto these invisible ledges, you normally begin to slide back off of them, but if you start running, you can mountain goat your way up, which I thought was the last thing I needed in order to make this jump. But now we get to contend with the controls for the game. You've probably seen me struggle a little bit with the movement, and that's because this game uses tank controls, which, as we know, can be difficult to deal with at the best of times, and this is no exception. When you're running at an angle such as this wall, your character has a tendency to follow the angle rather than adhere to your inputs. So despite me holding left while Aome is running on this wall, she's trying to go right and there's really not much I can do about it, and if I try to course correct, she slides back down the wall. So what I need is a way to move in a singular direction very quickly. I've talked about dashing before, but only in terms of its utility in combination with attacking. Dashing normally covers a couple steps of movement at best, which is okay for getting away from enemies, but not great for general movement, except when you're dashing into an angled wall. When you dash into an angled wall, you travel up the wall in one direction at a high speed, and then you can jump during that dash to do a long jump. And the last piece of tech we need here is the wall kick. Basically, all you need to know is that if you jump while facing a wall, you kick off of it and do a backflip, which gives you a little bit more height, but pushes you away from the wall you kick off of. That shouldn't really matter in this case, because there's a small extrusion here that we should be able to land on after we get that extra bit of height. And thus came the plan. Grab onto the first invisible ledge, pull myself up, grab the second invisible ledge, pull myself up again, dash in the small window of time I have to do so before Aome slides back down the wall, jump out of the dash, then kick off of the wall to gain just enough height to land on the ledge above. After that, it's just one more enemy between us and the goal. Thankfully, no boss this time. We finish the level with the Grandmaster ranking, and we move on to the next. Our mission this time is to take the castle back after Onikage captured it with an army of demons while we were off trying to figure out how to make a simple jump. This level is normally pretty trivial, as you can use the grappling hook to scale the castle and reach Onikage in minutes. But you hopefully know the dealio by now. If not, welcome to the weird video that's playing when you just so happen to wake up. Please go back to the beginning and get caught up to speed. Don't worry, I'll wait. Dumbass, I'm not going to wait for you at all. Alright, so we're fighting demons. But thankfully, they're just about as murderable as anyone else in this universe, so we at least have that going for us. And realistically, all this means is they have higher health and maybe hit a little bit harder, but that's about it. Even without the grappling hook, this level's pretty short, so we hopefully shouldn't be here too long. What the fuck happened? The first hour alone is just raw footage of me trying the level and failing at various points, mostly because of one bitch-faced asshole with a shit-eating grin whose name shall not be mentioned. But it rhymes with Onikage. Otherwise, the level itself really isn't that bad, at least not after you've been through it 8 or 9 times. Since I'm so intent on just getting to the top of the castle, all the different layouts seem to impact is the enemy density in the castle itself. Outside, the verticality of the level makes losing enemies pretty easy if they spot you, and sometimes they just decide to go for a swim. I don't have much more to say about the level itself. Everything wrong with it stems from this asshole. And thus, I present to you a haiku. Fuck Onikage. He is such a little bitch. Fuck Onikage. I don't even know where to begin with this fight. This man hits like a freight train, having a two-part combo that'll wipe out half your health bar. He blocks like his life depends on it, which, I mean, it does, so whatever, I guess I can't fault him there. He likes to sit back and do a little taunt if you get too far away from him. Oh, and he has a fucking health potion in his pocket. I thought I had him on this attempt right here. It was one of the first ones, and I was like, oh, cool, I can do this and get on with my life. Then he pulled out the potion, and I tried to rush in and interrupt him, because when an enemy is using a potion, if you hit them, they'll drop it. But I wasn't fast enough, and then I died. My next plan was to use the slopes on the castle roof to my advantage. If you engage an enemy on a slope, more often than not, they won't be able to block, and they'll be knocked into the air so you can do a combo on them. But if you knock Onikage off the roof, he just despawns for a little while before reappearing back at his spawn point. Thankfully, he doesn't heal from it, but if you also fall down, there's a very solid chance that when you're rescaling that castle, there might be a new enemy or two, which I know is probably more so enemies that were supposed to be there in the first place but failed to load due to memory limitations, but fuck me did it take me by surprise when it happened the first time. When trying to lure Onikage onto the roof, sometimes he just loses sight of you and tries to run down the stairs to go find you, so you gotta quickly re-aggro him, which is just begging for him to hit you some more before trying to lure him back out onto the roof. Another strategy I tried was to hit him through this little half wall here when he got close, which worked sometimes, but other times either he or myself would just phase through the thing. I cannot tell you how many times he killed me, but in the end, I decided the roof was my best bet. Not only would it let me knock him down, it would make his attacks miss me more often too. And finally, after hours spent trying to figure out this fight, not the level itself, just this fight, I just barely eked out a victory.
He's gone?
With that Grandmaster under my belt, we move on to the final level. Our goal for this mission is simple: rescue Princess Kiku. All that's standing in our way is an army of undead and the ruler of hell itself, Lord Mayo. Standard fare, really. My first attempt at this level is rough, to say the least. I get spotted by quite a few enemies, but mostly because their placement is diabolical. First off, allow me to introduce you to this bridge. There's an enemy standing on a small platform in the middle of water, and in my defense, I looked around to see if there were any other enemies before going for this kill. But what I didn't know was that there was a fuck-mothering dog hiding behind this pillar, so I deal with that and thankfully don't get spotted by the guard. Wise to the bullshit now, I sneak up on another dog and miss my first attack. I take it out, but that alerts another guard who comes to investigate, and let me tell you, these columns are not ideal to be hiding around. I take him down, then there's another guard patrolling in front of this door who I take out without any issues. Then I go through the door and encounter another patrolling guard. I get an opening to kill him, but there's an archer I didn't know about who immediately spots the body. I try to go around this pillar to avoid him, but there's a second archer who spots me. I accidentally pick up a health potion and then try to lose the archers, but these guys are persistent. I finally managed to lose one around a column, take him out, and then go back to the other one who deloaded mid-arrow fire, then goes to investigate the body from the guard he was initially alerted by, so I lose him around the big stone pillar in the middle and finally take him out. A little further up there are two more enemies, a guard with a spear and a dog. By this point, I'd realized dog spotting you didn't count, so I waited for an opportunity where both the guard and the dog were facing away from me, killed the guard, then dealt with the dog. After all that intensity, I go through the door ready to deal with whatever's next. I was not ready. I was so not ready. By the time I finally overcame Onikage, I was living on 37 HP in a dream. The remainder of the level isn't nearly as intense as the beginning. The enemies are spaced out enough that dealing with them one at a time is a lot more feasible. Also, the fire-breathing cultists from level 6 are back. I get spotted by one of them, a guard with a spear, and an archer at one point. opting to deal with the cultist head-on because they're really weak. Then I managed to lose the spear guard over here by what I can only describe as a lump of flesh because I have no idea what it's supposed to be. And then this archer is kind enough to cook himself down to 25 HP, making it pretty easy to kill him. Definitely wasn't an ideal series of events, but I got through it unscathed. This archer toward the end of the level, though, might be one of the most obnoxiously placed enemies in the entire game. I didn't know he was there when I was going to take down this patrolling guard. After the kill animation, he sees the body immediately, which means he sees me shortly thereafter. Backing away deloads him, so I have no choice but to deal with him head on. My heart was pounding here. You know why the loading screen talks about lava? Because there's fucking lava all throughout this cave. It doesn't actually instantly kill you like the loading screen says, but it does 25 damage to you every time you touch it. So obviously I didn't want to be falling down into that, but I also didn't want to take the 10 HP of damage from each arrow this guy was firing. You may or may not be able to tell that I was panicking while fighting this dude. Eventually he does go down, but we're not done. At the end of this walkway is another archer. He's alerted by the body, but thank goodness there's a ledge here that he can't get up. Now, did I actually know it was a ledge that I could drop down onto safely? No, in fact, I thought it was just a small incline. So imagine the sheer terror I felt when I went for this kill and dropped down. I'm glad the developers were kind. With that, we have just 2 more guards who are pretty simple to handle. After them, it's 1 more jump across a pit of lava, and then we reach the final boss.
So, you killed Onikage. Who would have thought it possible?
Mayo, shut up and tell me where Kiku is.
Do not concern yourself with the girl. Think about saving your own skin.
Of all the bosses in this game, Mayo is the one I've been dreading the most. Let's cover the 2 main things that make Mayo a handful. First off is this attack where he disappears and then reappears while doing a dash. I'm pretty sure he just targets your back, but I'm not actually sure. But that is paltry in comparison to the lightning. You can at least block the dash. You cannot block lightning. You also can't do anything about it if he decides to start using the lightning attack while you're trying to stand up after being knocked down. Sometimes Mayo just decides you don't get to play the video game anymore. So what if we pull out the Uno reverse card and tell him he's not allowed to play the game anymore? Despite being powerful, he's kinda slow, and all of his attacks can be interrupted by hitting him. What I eventually settled on doing was trying to lock him into a cycle of hitting him with a single attack, then running closer to him and doing it again. This plan is great in theory, but the arena size makes it less reliable than you'd hope. There's a very real chance you can get to the edge of the arena with him, and then one of your attacks sends him sideways, making it very easy for him to counter you. But with a little bit of luck and a lot of bit of patience, Lord Mayo goes down, finishing out the level. You've got to be kidding me. Actually, I am. I did get Grandmaster on this level, twice, because I had a theory I wanted to test after I finished my initial playthrough, but this theory starts in level 9, so let's roll the clock back a little bit. I'll keep this brief because this is already way longer than I thought it was going to be. You know water, right? You might remember it from such classics as Keeping You Alive. As I've said a couple times now, enemies can't swim. They just die when they touch deep water, so I wanted to see if this worked on bosses as well. There were 2 bosses in particular I wanted to drown, and they're both Onikage. I went back and did another run of level 9, and after encountering Onikage, I had him chase me to the moat surrounding the castle where he mysteriously tripped and fell in, and yeah, he died. And it counted as clearing the level with another Grandmaster rank. In level 10, there's a river beneath the bridge that had the pillar dogs. When I encountered Onikage on this stage, I did the same thing, guiding him back to the river and convincing him to take a nice little swim. Then I got another Grandmaster because I wasn't going to let that victory go to waste. Fun little fact about enemies dying this way, it doesn't count as either a detected or undetected kill. I don't know what you can do with that information, but it's something you know now. And you know what else you know? You know that you can Grandmaster every level in Tenchu Stealth Assassins without using any items at all. It was a fun run, definitely challenging and frustrating at points, but with how many enemies there are in some levels, unless you're playing like a total jackass, it's not as hard to get Grandmaster as it may initially seem. Here's my collection of rewards for Grandmastering all the levels. They're really cool, and wait, what's this? It looks like there should be another one here, but I did all the levels. How could one be missing? Oh, that's right. There's a training stage that you can get ranks on too. Okay, this shouldn't be too hard. Jump over this little hump here, kill the first guard, jump up, then jump up here. We jump up here. We jump up here. Oh, no. Well, I guess you can't Grandmaster the entire game without using items. I wish I'd known that 20 hours ago.